What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets. And in this case, quite literally killing people. So they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here.
Hey yo, what it do, crew? It's your favorite Coloradan with a noggin, Elijah X. Ah man, what an interesting Wednesday it's been, man. Yeah, things are going a little wonky there in Minneapolis for certain, and rest in peace to this poor woman. I'm gonna try to look at this from both sides of the coin, because not everything is as it seems, and most of these mainstream media outlets are trying to guide you one way, as they typically do, and control the outcome of the story. The woman did indeed make a bad decision, but I can also see why people are ultimately angry that her life was taken. Some feel unceremoniously, or that there could have just, been a different means of handling the situation, and that the cop could have just strictly jumped out of the way. At the end of the day, ICE agents are fulfilling their lawful duties when they are out in public and looking for people. They do have, objectives and missions to fulfill. They've already done their due diligence, or at least, they've looked into the target in which they're going into the field to reprimand and detain. They're not going out of there just looking at people's skin color. People keep thinking that's like the main pretense for them picking up folks off the street. That is not the case. They have stipulations and rules and policies set in place by the legislators that we elected into Congress. That's why when politicians and representatives go on these mainstream media outlets and they push with this dangerous rhetoric and tell people to retaliate and to resist and to fight back, and they get these protesters riled up, and these folks who came in here in unsultry manners, all up in arms, chucking broken like chunks of sidewalk through windows and taking shots at officers. They're doing what they were hired to do. You don't have to like it, but America is a nation built on law and order, and these laws are indeed on the books. They are fulfilling them. Now, rest in peace to this poor woman. She made a bad decision. And ultimately, it cost her life. Now, there's multiple angles of the videos. There's one from the side that shows the immediate cop on the side of her driver's side window, and you don't see the ICE officer that is in front of the vehicle until she actually pulls off and he steps into the frame. There's another one that shows the front side of the action where the car takes off down the street after the shots take place and rams into the car. There's one that happens on the back side of the vehicles where you can't actually see both of the ICE officers and you just hear gunshots. That is the most suspect video of them all, because it definitely appears that they just started unloading on an unsuspecting vehicle, but you can't see anything in that video. And I think it was KTLA, but one of the mainstream local affiliates are running that video across their airwaves. So before everyone else wigs out, especially those of us who are not on the ground there, and they're holding vigils across multiple states for this, but everybody, we need to chill out for the moment, get the information that's at hand, figure out what the deal was, and allow time to propagate for a moment. We never get answers outright. If that was the case, we would know who murdered Charlie Kirk, and don't tell me a 30-06 came and that's a whole nother story. But we're going to get into this subject with this video from the Five responding to the ordeal, and it's really unfortunate because it's just going to drive more division between the liberals, the left, and the right, due to ICE being the agency that serves deportation and is obviously more fulfilling the right-wing agenda at the moment. But ICE is, it doesn't matter what party, they're just the immigration and custom enforcement agency. So but it's immediately just another way to sow more division between us, especially considering this is the same state where we just discovered all the daycare fraud and federal tax dollars being misappropriated to all these daycares, and the reason why Tim Walz is stepping out of the run for governorship in this coming race. This is the same place. There's a reason there's so much festering and just darkness all over Minneapolis as it currently stands. But before we go any further, make sure that you like and subscribe to the video if you do indeed enjoy the content. If not, that's also cool. I'll catch you on the flip side, one way or the other. I have a way of drawing people back in. But let's get going with this video. Alright. So, yeah. We're going to go see what's popping over on the Fox end of the spectrum. I mean, I like to use Fox because I know a lot of the folks out here in Colorado don't really, frequent this network. So it's always good to see a different portion of the cycle. So we're going to start here and see how this goes, man.
Let's go right to Mike Tobin. He is standing by there in Minneapolis. Mike, what's the latest?
And Dana, DHS says that vehicle involved in this shooting was weaponized and directed at the agents. They say the agent who fired the shots was in fear of his life and the lives of his fellow agents. There are a number of videos circulating on social media right now. The ones in which you can see the agent who fired the shots, you will see 3 agents get out onto Portland Avenue and approach that.
This is a video that I saw initially. I couldn't tell that officer, this one, and this, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but yeah, I couldn't tell that officer on the very front left was there until I watched it like 2 more times after. But that's the one who fired the shot through the front windshield. The way it appeared through the video when I first saw it and hearing the shots ring out, it looked like he could have just dropped 3 shots to the driver's side window. And that's why I said the video from the very back of the SUV, you can't see the officers at all, any number of them. So you just hear shots ring out, and it looked like they just start dumping. But that's not the case. And I just wanted to mention that real quick.
That vehicle. One of the agents was standing directly in front of that Honda SUV when it lunged forward. He fired 2 shots through the windshield. One of them, at least, struck this woman and killed her. Now, Jacob Fry, you heard him say that he doesn't buy the narrative at all, using the phrase BS there. Governor Tim Walz, with all the heat that he has been under lately, he said what he wants now is to get federal agents out of Minnesota.
We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight. We will not take the bait.
Chaos federal funds for daycares.
Immediately after the shooting, people descended on the scenes. They tried to push through the outer perimeter of the federal agents who were trying to keep the crime scene secure. That is when we saw the pepper spray come out. Tear gas came out a couple of times during the day today. The crowd remained on that scene, growing to about 400 strong at one point. But
the tear gas and all that stuff does not surprise me. I mean, they are technically impeding a federal investigation and crime in the midst of a crime scene. So, I mean, crowd control measures are deployed in such instances.
But ultimately, they
Whoops, I messed that up.
put away that Honda SUV and a couple of vehicles that were hit by the car after the shooting.
It's
and that
me
cleared
doing
the
this
scene,
show,
and
guys.
all
I
law
don't have a
enforcement,
producer.
federal agents had pulled out first, and local law enforcement maintained the scene, but there was still friction with the local law enforcement, meaning Minneapolis state and sheriff's deputies. They pulled all of them out, and that turned the protests at the shooting scene into a march. The march ultimately dissipated. You now have about 150 people still at that scene in South Minneapolis, and the crowd is quite emotional. Dana?
Mike, thank you so much. And I just want everybody to have a chance to hear from the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. She reacted earlier.
You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him.
All right, we'll get this news analyzed by the folks here at the table. Lawrence, vehicles can be used as a weapon. Is that what you think happened here?
Well, they are considered weapons. I want to handle this a little bit differently. I don't want to tell the audience what
I
to
like
think,
Lawrence a
but
lot.
I do want to offer them some perspective as they analyze the video. A couple things that I looked at immediately is how the responding officers respond immediately. There's a vehicle that is clearly obstructing them. The threat level is high, but the responding officers go toward the vehicle and they don't go with their weapons drawn. Typically, in a case like that, their weapons would be drawn because you have obstruction that's going on. You don't know who's in the vehicle. You don't know what's in the vehicle, but they don't. The responding officer on the right-hand side, and you'll see it in the video, that ends up being the person that shoot the suspect there at the time, has his phone video in it. You see a cell phone the entire time. He then makes his way, which is standard operating procedure. When you don't see someone that's in the passenger side, you want to get a clear view of the windshield so you can see who's in the vehicle, right? So he's positioned there. There's another officer that's on that side where the suspect is that's driving the car. He still has his cell phone filming the entire thing.
He broke it down well.
Now then, as they're giving the command to stop the car, one of the officers...
So the guy who shot him was an officer on the unseen, say, closer side of the passenger hood, who had his cell phone out, who happens to be the one who ends up shooting through that front right-hand driver's side of the windshield. Right about, I'd say, right on the outside of the driver's wheel. It went right above the side of the... So he reacted very quickly, but he was indeed in front of an SUV. Those things are way more than a ton. So he had to take a defensive maneuver or get ran over. Not many people have the balls to even do a job where being ran over is possibly part of the duty. So he had to take care of himself, just the way I would expect any one of y'all to take care of yourself and those you're with. So
puts his arm into the vehicle, because that's a dangerous... His gun is still not drawn. His arm is in the car trying to open the door, all right? The officer, at some point, when you see the other angle, and we're showing it right here, that's in the front, that has his cell phone, when the vehicle starts to go forward, puts his phone down, draws his guns, and fires a shot in the front of the windshield, striking the suspect. Those angles are important. I'll add one more piece to this, because a vehicle can be a weapon. I'm learning from my sources within the department, both in the White House as well in ICE. The officer that shot the shot has been drugged before. Now, John Roberts has this reporting, as well as my sources have confirmed it. Now, there could be...
The officer who fired has been drugged by a car before. People get PTSD from a lot less traumatic events. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
Body cam that says this is not true, they could say that these sources are wrong. But right now, based on the evidence that we have right now that is available to everyone, it looks like a clean shoot.
Mm-hmm. Emily, I want to just play for you from Governor Walz. He's been in the news a lot lately, and for other reasons, which we might get to a little bit later, on the fraud there in Minneapolis and the welfare fraud. But he also came out in front of the cameras today, talked about the shooting.
We've been warning for weeks that the Trump administration's dangerous, sensationalized operations
Blah, 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 bro.
public safety.
Blah, blah, blah.
Someone was going to
this
get hurt.
guy should
Just
be
yesterday,
in prison.
I said exactly that.
Right now. He
What
shouldn't
we're
even
seeing is
be
the
on
consequences
camera.
of governance designed to generate fear,
Scum.
headlines, and conflict. It's governing by reality TV. And today that recklessness cost someone their life.
Any thoughts here
Fraud.
on the legalities
Fraud.
or on those
Fraud.
comments?
Right. Well,
Fraud.
first of all, him mentioning reality TV and recklessness, those are his comments. And he's the one that is theatrical and dynamic on stages, calling President Trump ICE agents, Gestapo, and Nazis. So we can get to that a little bit later as well, because I do want to focus on the legalities for a second. So for those that on the left that have been jumping to conclusions that this is murder and it wasn't self-defense, including the mayor, which is so, speaking of reckless, absolutely worthless, and such a rotten form of leadership to come out of the gate and say it was not self-defense. But here's the standard that officers abide by. First of all, if the officer reasonably believes that the suspect poses an imminent threat, not just of actual deadly injury, but of serious imminent injury, then that can be justified in shooting. And the factors, including just last year by the Supreme Court, involve the totality of circumstances. So let's look at the totality of circumstances here. First of all, they clearly said on multiple angles of this video, you can hear them saying, get out of the car. When a suspect is requested to get out of the car, that means that it is a temporary investigative detention. That is a Fourth Amendment seizure. That subject was not allowed to leave, not free to leave. And yet we saw that individual behind the wheel of the car use a motor vehicle to ram out of the way, to surge and gas out of the way. Well, you talked about it being used as a weapon. Motor vehicles accounted for a third of officer deaths in the last decade. Wow. And it spiked even more than that 30%? In the last year. So absolutely right that it poses an extreme risk to their safety.
That's a very important infraction right there. A third? And considering that the attacks against ICE agents has itself gone up 1,000%, and this guy has been dragged before, dude, that's a trifecta that no man should have to endure. And my goodness, dude, they are serving their legal duties and performing the jobs that they were hired to do. These are people that we've grown up, we've known throughout our whole lives, and who are just trying to help the country. It's baffling. It's baffling.
And when we talk about the rhetoric, as the no self-defense and the ICE agents are Gestapo and the like, that too feeds into the totality of the circumstances. When this officer reasonably believes that they are in fear of imminent injury, serious injury or death. And furthermore, that standard also accounts for potential injury or of risk of injury to bystanders. So while fleeing isn't enough, fleeing in a deadly weapon with bystanders and other officers everywhere, including that one that I saw on the thing sort of limping, because I think that did pull the trigger, that clearly made contact with that vehicle. Well, and that shows you all you need to know.
Click here to subscribe.
Shows you all you need to know. Man, can't we all just get along? Oh, the humanity. My goodness, bro. We can't do anything right. We can't do anything right. Well, y'all gonna have to let me know what y'all think about the circumstances, because I don't necessarily feel that he was in the wrong. It's superbly unfortunate that someone had to lose their life. And I'm going to pray for her family, her wife. I'm going to pray for her children that I believe they said she had 3 of. And, man, I don't know where we're going from here. To be honest, man, especially with the taxes being used for all this fraud and the illegality, and our money being used to fund terrorist organizations across seas, and us getting finessed and working hard just to make sure people who aren't even supposed to be here have a more fruitful life than the people who were born here. We're heading into some really tumultuous times. But, you know, I love you guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If anything, just keep your head up. God's got us. He already delivered us the victory. And as long as you believe that, you'll be copacetic, because we're in a war against principalities. But their time's up. And we got nothing but time, because eternity's already guaranteed through our love of Jesus Christ. So, I'm heading out. I love you guys. Be blessed. And stay so.